another episode of the Habibis, 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea. I'm your host for this week, Osama Dorius.
And I am Fawzi Mesmar.
And I'm Rami Ismail, and I don't have an echo.
And I'm super happy that I didn't mess up the intro.
Wow. Wow.
You know, I could feel that he was a little bit stressed doing this one.
I was. I'm like,
when we kicked off the recording and we went on mute to listen to the intro, it was just like a moment where I could just feel Osama's stress spiking. It was like,
I don't do memorizations. I do impromptu. That I could do.
He sounded a bit formal. Hello, and welcome to another episode.
Assalamu alaikum.
You got to make it work, you know? How y'all been? It's like, it's been forever since I've seen you last.
Like 4 days.
4 days.
4 days.
It feels like forever. That's too long to be away
Actually,
from my
with Fawzi, it's been 5 days.
True.
Yeah, true. This is great that we're talking again, but it's significantly worse than seeing you while talking. I have to admit.
mean, it was really nice to be able to not decide who the host was and then just point at each other. That was great.
Yeah, that was funny.
And it's like, who goes second? Who goes second? Who goes second? You. Okay.
There a lot of hand gesturing going on, which is very Arab, like enhances the conversation.
It's true.
But I will say it also created a thing where every now and then we would do gestures and not tell that the gestures were happening.
That's true. I had to say a couple on the show, and he points at me. I had to play as the narrator.
You know, the solution for that is that we have to have video episodes again.
Right.
We've tried that. It wasn't fun. It was
fun.
It was fun, but it wasn't great. There's something about it that was. I think the problem with those is that we rely a lot on video, just like when you're in person. And so if you're only listening to the audio, you're always missing something, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Plus, this way I get to imagine both of your faces, and that's even funnier.
I don't know what that means.
Audio recording is much easier this way instead of Rami being picked up by every mic in the block.
Right. You get like a 75 version echo.
We did our best. It wasn't very good, but we did our best.
We really tried, but we couldn't have known. No. We could have known.
We could have tested it. We're not very good at testing.
We did test it, remember? We just got louder during the recording.
It's true.
Because we're a bunch of Arabs.
And we got excited.
When we were testing, we were like,
we
were like, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, okay, how does it sound? It sounds good. And then the episode happens and we're like, and okay, how are you?
When the conversations get going, we get rowdy on this podcast.
Yeah.
So, it's been a few days.
How was your flight back, Osama?
It was painful because flying is difficult. So there's one part that was really, really cool, which was the airport was painless. So getting through the Amsterdam airport, there were long wait lines, but for reasons that I will not discuss, I was able to bypass them in a really cool legal way, so I won't get in trouble for it.
Just to be clear.
So Agent Smith,
we're not Arab Frank. Frank, if you're listening. Agent Smith, yes, if you're listening.
It was legal.
Osama stated we were absolutely not testing security holes at the airport.
No, we were not. But
Osama just used some benefits.
Benefits, yes. I was able to benefit from someone else who's traveling, their ability to bypass certain lines, which I've never done in my whole life. And that it's like, wow, I was able to not have to wait in line for 3 hours because that airport, Schiphol, is that how you pronounce it?
Schiphol.
I was close. I could not believe the security lines. They were so long.
They're up to 3 hours at
It was never like that. It's just a byproduct of this summer. Like, Rami and I were talking about this earlier in the podcast, but traveling in Europe this summer was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And that's the remnants of it. But thankfully, for once in my life, I was allowed to bypass everything. And I got to the gate really early, and so I was able to play Steam Deck for 3 hours.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Which was really great. And then
I just remember dropping you off, and then 3 hours later being like, "Are you at your gate?" And you're like, "Yep."
And I'm like, I am an adult, Rami, who has traveled before, but thank you for your concern. I literally took a picture of the gate and sent it to him in seconds. I'm like, yes, I'm at the gate. I'm responsible.
Hey, I'm just checking, especially when people have a lot of time at an airport. Yes. Sometimes they lose track of time.
You're absolutely right, and I do appreciate it.
It's kind of cute. He's checking in on his Habibi to make sure he's making his flight.
I sent him a whole bunch of emoticon hearts. I loved it.
This is true. He did do that.
Or maybe it was a fear that if he did miss his flight, then that means he's going to have to come back and pick you up. And he just didn't want to do that.
It's also a lot of work, but no, I just wanted to make sure Osama gets home to the family.
And I really appreciate it big time. So the flight on paper left on time. In practice, did not. It boarded late, it left late, and we were in the air late. And because we were in the air late, we lost our gate returning to Montreal. So we had to actually fly a circuit a few extra times. And then when we landed, there still wasn't a gate. So we had to taxi and park and wait for a gate to open up. So was it a great flight? It was about an hour longer than it needed to be. So not that great, but I've had worse. I think we've all had
too bad. That's not too bad.
I'm gonna be that guy for a second, but just to be abundantly clear, in aviation terminology, that's called a holding pattern, not a circuit. A circuit is your normal approach. A holding pattern is anyway, I'll shut up.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
Yeah, just wanted to get that out.
We were in a holding.
He's legally obliged because he holds that license to correct us.
It's funny because I've never had this many grim conversations in my life since I've had my license.
Yeah.
Because every time I get a passenger, I have to explain, like, hey, listen, so if I die, here's the steps you do. And I had to explain to Osama, like, if I just like get hit by the propeller or something, here's the button to turn it off.
Yep.
And like, here's the radio in case you need to talk to somebody because I've super died.
He broke my heart. I didn't even get on the plane yet.
It's so sad.
It was.
But I have to do it. So I have to be like, okay, listen, if I die, pull this thing, then wait until that thing, and then get out of the airplane and just leave my dead body for now. Right? Like somebody will come pick it up later. You just get clear of the airplane.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, but okay.
We're going to need to work on the safety measures in Air Habibi. It's not exactly exciting for our customers, but it's a good start.
Right. No, but I genuinely just have to do that. I can't I have to run people through those steps of how they should get clear of the airplane if something happens to me.
Wow, man.
And there's not really a way to do that without saying like, so, hey, in case, I can't be like, so in case I fall asleep.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Because that makes people more nervous.
Like what?
Oh, that's crazy. Imagine if like actual pilots did that in commercial flights, because there's a pilot and a co-pilot. And then they both come back to like the first two rows in first class and like, yo, by the way, if we both fall asleep, we're going to need you, sir, to come into the cockpit and like press this button.
Oh, no.
But here's the thing. That recently happened to an airplane.
Wait, what?
Where both pilots fell asleep and the autopilot just flew past the airport and they managed to wake the pilots up and they landed the airplane.
Wow.
But both pilots fell asleep.
That's so funny.
How does that happen?
Right? Well, it's funny that they woke up in time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been far less funny.
Yeah.
But
I guess you have to fly enough to be so chill. Regardless, like, the autopilot's got this. I'm going to just take a nap.
Yeah.
Right. Well, autopilots are incredible. Like, Osama saw that. The airplane I fly, it doesn't have an autopilot. But if you have it set, like, if you have it trimmed well and it's flying straight, it'll mostly just fly straight.
Yeah, you don't have to really touch anything. I mean, unless you want to touch something, because then it's a lot of fun.
Unless you want to put us in a dive, Osama.
in a nosedive.
We survived, Rami. Any nosedive that you walk away from, right?
One of those signature Osama nosedives. You gotta love it.
Hey, I'm practicing, man. It was literally my first time flying a plane. Cut me some slack.
It would have not been a butter landing.
No.
Not your first time. Rami's taken you on Flight Simulator before, so that's
counts. That's true. All right, it's not my.
Somehow, Flight Simulator, he flew more stable than that nosedive. Like normally when people's lives depend on them doing it right, they get more careful. No. But Osama was just like, what happens if I just go up?
That's so funny.
You gotta live a little.
I'm so glad we went up to 3,000 feet before trying that.
That was smart on your part. That was really smart. It also gave me a little more confidence, so it worked out.
No, it was good. It was good. Honestly, for a first time, you did great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So enough about my flights. How were your flights?
Mine was...
I didn't do a flight.
Oh, Rami, you drove back, right?
Yeah, I drove home. I lived 2 hours away.
But then you had a flight the next day, right?
Yeah, I flew some friends that were visiting the Netherlands.
Awesome. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was nice. I had to do the grim briefing again.
Did they fly better or worse than me?
They didn't even try.
Okay, then I win by default.
Yeah, you win. You definitely flew better than them.
There you go.
And I have a next friend to fly with on Friday.
Wow. Habibis is getting busy.
Well, competition. So fun note. My last flight. So Osama, you were my 99th flight.
Wow.
So close. Yeah. So close.
Yeah, I missed it by one. What?
You missed it by one.
So close.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sad.
And then my friends that visited after that were my 100th flight.
I'm heartbroken. You just broke my heart. I wanted to be number 100.
Again, he broke your heart again.
Again.
You know, if that dive had put us on the ground, I could have counted it as a landing, and then you'd also have been the 100th flight. So maybe you just didn't nosedive enough.
Next time.
I am at 98 hours and 55 minutes at the moment, a flight, and at 100 hours I can actually continue my training.
That's
to the instrument part of it. So I don't think I'm going to start on it right away. There's actually a different airplane that I want to learn to fly first, and then after that I'm going to go instrument training. So
are you going to fly the Tweety Bird airplane?
No, that one is too smart. It's really small. It's really cute. There's this tiny little yellow airplane at Hilversum Airport. It's a little bush airplane, which means that it's an airplane that can take off and land in like really short distances. They get used in like rural areas or foresty areas or on mountains. With the right wind, that thing can land in like 12 meters.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right? And it can take off in like double that. It's kind of amazing.
Wow.
But I don't fit.
Oh.
Okay, are you too big for the plane?
I'm too big for that.
I definitely won't fit.
It's me size then.
Yeah, we could probably fit 3 of you.
My favorite selfie that I took in all of Gamescom is the one where I'm literally holding up Fawzi with one arm.
Yeah, you're lifting him with one arm.
That was so funny.
I was gonna help, but it wasn't necessary, so I just left it. He got to lift that entire boy up. He got it. He totally got this.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I try to stay in shape.
It's great. I love your shape.
Nice. If I ever have to do a flight with Fawzi, I don't even have to do the weight and balance check. Great.
It'd be like you had like an extra heavy backpack that day.
Yeah. I mean, why are you traveling with such a heavy bag? It's like, no, that's my friend. Oh.
You probably need to do more checks if you brought up your PS5 with you. Be like, oh my god.
Right, yeah. Did you see that they just released a new one? It's like
what?
Because they keep doing sub increments of the PlayStation 5.
I didn't know
it's
that.
Just slightly lighter every time.
Oh, really?
Okay, but they look the same.
They're identical, except for they've replaced the heatsink by a lighter version.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now they released a new one. It just came out in Australia, and it's just basically like, again, like 300 grams lighter. So the thing is like down to 3.9 kilos, down from like 5.
Wow. Speaking of going down and Australia, are you two coming to GCAP by chance?
Wow.
Going down to Australia.
Wow.
He said it keeps going down. He mentioned Australia. That's a double segue.
What just happened?
That's as butter as it gets.
There you go.
Surprise.
When is GCAP again?
It's the first week of October, I believe.
Probably not, but maybe yes.
Yeah, same answer. Probably not, but maybe yes.
Oh, that means chances are only getting one of you or none. That's
because I think that Rami and I might intersect in our the second conference this year at the end of September. So that's like literally the last 2 days of September. Then it's going to be very difficult to fly directly from that to Australia.
So it's probably on the other side of the world, right?
Almost literally.
Yeah. Oh wow!
Yeah, I think we looked up the antipodes, and it's pretty much it's pretty much if you would dig a hole straight down from there to the other side of the planet, you'd end up near New Zealand.
Wow! If you do that from Montreal, where I am, you end up just off the coast of Australia. It really is.
Yeah, the other coast.
The other coast, not New Zealand side, which is like Australia is literally the furthest place I could travel.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be great. You're going to watch so many movies.
Yeah. It's not going to be great. My butt's going to hurt so much.
Oh my God. Yeah, that flight is rough. There's no direct though, right? You're going to take a stop somewhere?
I'm going to have 2 stops because I booked my flight too late. That's not going to be fun at all.
2 stops. Oof.
So I'm landing in Vancouver, then I'm flying to Sydney, then I'm getting to Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. Yeah. It's within the same time zone at least.
Yeah, at least that.
I mean, and on top of that, like the hop to Vancouver is like what, 5 hours?
Yeah, something like that, 5-6 hours.
So you get 5 hours. Then you get to stretch your legs a little. That's really not the worst.
Then you get 15 hours, 15 and a half.
Well, yeah, that's the big one. Why didn't you stop in Hawaii?
I should have, huh? But the thing is, remember passport stuff? Like I had to try to avoid.
Oh, United States. Yeah, okay, fair.
Hawaii is not Canada
no,
yet.
Wait, is this like some sort of war declaration on the United States? Watch out, Canada's coming for Hawaii.
AJ Smith is just losing it today. He's like, I can't type fast enough.
Wait, someone's at my door. Oh no.
He's just gonna break glass. It's like I can't. This is too much.
I love it.
Well, my flight back was way less dramatic than any of those flights.
Like a 1 hour flight.
It was a 1 hour flight.
Wow.
It took 1 hour, and I had like almost 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours from Düsseldorf. Okay. And my flight was filled with game developers.
Yes, I can imagine.
I ran into a bunch of like Fat Shark people who are going back home. They gave me some socks.
Nice. I saw those socks.
Part of the merchandise they're giving out at Gamescom. So I got some socks, which is pretty neat.
So many people went to Stockholm.
Yeah, lots of people going back to Stockholm. Anna Bramberg, friend of the show, was also on a plane.
Wow, Answer Hotel. Like, what is going on there?
Right? Right? It's like, it's a thing. Yeah, and she was not in outfit or makeup. So it's hard to recognize her when she wasn't looking all demonic.
Good times, very good.
But the best part about coming back from like a week-long conference is that I had so much mail and stuff and it's like a little Christmas, like I have like all these boxes. And I'm like unboxing all of them.
Yes.
And I started with the first one, and it's my Steam Deck.
Wow, that's amazing! Congratulations!
Yeah. It arrived, and I didn't know, and I was like, I'm unboxing. Like, what is this thing that has a battery icon on it? I forgot that it was on the way.
I also came home to a package, but it wasn't as impressive as a Steam Deck.
I got like 12 pieces of underwear. That was great.
Well, that's cool.
That was about it. Oh no, wait! I got a headphone.
Wait, you didn't tell us. You didn't finish telling us about the underwear. Which color?
No, black.
Okay, that's the smart one. That's a smart color for underwear.
Fawzi, you're sorry. I got in the way of your story.
Yes, go back to Steam Deck.
All of us got in the way of the story.
Steam Deck.
Everybody's got mail and maybe garments of some kind. No, I got to play with the Steam Deck for a bit. And
what'd you play?
I installed a couple of games. So I wanted to continue the game that I was already playing, which is Norco. I'm going to talk about that in a sec.
Great.
But I wanted to talk about the hardware a little bit first. It is a hefty piece of equipment. Like it has that weight and feel that gives it. You feel that it's valuable. You know what I mean? Like it has this like high tech feel, very polished. Buttons feel really
premium,
good.
Sure.
It got that premium feel to it. There's the haptic feedback on the touchpads. That I really like. There's like the sounds coming out of when you move things on the D-pad or the touchpad, that there's like the sound that kind of like gives you the feedback of things moving around. The OS fits really well with the device and the controllers. They've made like the interesting. They have those icons on the game, so you know which game is like Steam Deck compatible or not when you're browsing through your library.
Yep.
Which I really appreciate. And some of them, they were like, we're not sure if it's compatible or not, so you can try it out for yourself.
That's what I was going to say, actually. A lot of the ones that I'm playing on my Steam Deck, they were not sure, and they ended up working either perfectly well or just needed a little bit of help.
Yeah.
So don't be discouraged by the list. If you like, there are a lot of games out there that are working that they haven't tested yet.
Yeah, I figured they're probably requiring the developers themselves to say that it's compliant or not. So I guess they're waiting on the developers to testing these things on the Steam Deck, then report back that they're working. I don't think that Valve themselves are testing everything on the Steam Deck.
I'm actually not sure.
But I'm not sure. But
I mean, they're asking developers to self-test.
Yeah, that was my guess, because the library is just too big for one centralized entity to just go through everything, including back catalogs and stuff. Whereas, like, if developers want to support the device, then they're gonna have to get the unit tested out and then just give it the green check mark, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like a really good piece of equipment. I do agree with Rami, though, like especially with the case, and I can't imagine not traveling with this thing with the case. It is big,
it is very big.
Like it's still portable, but like for someone like me and like Rami, who is already carrying a laptop, potentially a Switch, and at least one controller.
A projector,
and like a bunch of other stuff, and that's just like the backpack that I'm carrying. Not to mention like the my carry-on or whatever. That piece of equipment is it's too big for my carry-on case. So like for example, like I get that it's a PC on the go, but I'm already carrying a Razer laptop. So I already have a PC on the go, and I'm carrying my Pro controller with me. So. And I have my HD cable, so I can play on the go or hooked up, docked, so to say. I'm doing an air quotation when I'm on the go. It doesn't have the convenience of the Steam Deck, of course, but I can still, like, on the train, for example, I can still like whip out my laptop, put it on the tray, and hook up my controller with a cable and play.
That makes sense.
That's kind of the thing, right? Like for me, really, what I need the Steam Deck to do is it needs to be smaller than a controller and the power brick I need for my laptop.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my laptop is USB-C, so it'll charge off of USB-C. It just won't charge fast enough for the graphics card.
Yeah, true.
So if I want to play video games, I need that power brick. So if I can get rid of the power brick and the controller, then the Steam Deck is a good option.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can't, because that Steam Deck, even with my bag, and I have to say, I'm going to repeat it again, I love that bag, but it's the Waterfield one.
Yeah, it's great.
The Waterfield bag is incredible. It's small, it fits really well. It takes less space. It's soft. It still protects your Steam Deck well. But even with all that, it's just still too big.
It's still huge. Like it will take up all, if not most, of my backpack. And yeah, that for me is part of the issues. And like the problem that Rami mentioned is right when it comes to like the power brick for like graphic intensive games. But when I'm playing independent games, like the pixel graphics and stuff like that, I can run that comfortably on my laptop, my Razer laptop, without having to use a power brick. And that thing had a battery that could go on for 4 to 5 hours. Unlike the Steam Deck, which is like depleted in my case in 2 hours worth of playing.
That's true.
So like for me, optimizing my playing on the go, I doubt that I will take the Steam Deck with me around. I'm even like, I like the size of my Switch, but I'm even sometimes considering the light Switch for travel, just because I could just throw that thing in my bag and it will take way less space than I would with my bigger Switch and its case.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I don't travel with as much as y'all do, because my bag, it has a laptop in the back flap, and that's all it has.
Mm-hmm.
In the front, it has the Steam Deck. On the side, it has my headphones. Nestled between the headphones is like my bag of toiletries and the power adapter for my laptop. I don't carry a controller, and everything fits like perfectly. The only thing is, if I have to get anything else like gifts or whatever, I'll have to put them in a separate bag. They won't fit. It's like at capacity.
Yeah.
I don't carry my Kishi anymore, which I used to love. My Kishi, I used to be able to play games on my phone. There's no more space for it, so like I had to make choices to make it be able to fit. And I didn't even replace the carrying case yet. I still I want to get the water filled. I saw it at Rami's, and it looks amazing, and I really want to get it. But I haven't. I just haven't made a purchase yet. I've barely been home. The I'm like, that is how I spend most of my flights now, is just playing stuff on the Steam Deck. And the only problem I have with that is I can't play it the entire flight, because it will run out of battery, even plugged in and charging from like the source. I don't have a power bar that charges it fast enough yet, so I'll need to make that purchase. And so I'm at the mercy of my current power bar, or plugging it into the plane directly, and it'll extend the charge time from like 2 hours to maybe 2.5. It's all.
Wow.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not significant. And right now, like on my flight to Australia, for example, 15-hour flight, that 2 hours, I'm starting to wonder if it's justified for that flight. Like on a 5-hour flight, that's half the flight. That's enough, right?
Yeah.
But on a 15-hour
I think
flight,
that's kind of my problem with that thing, is like the thing it seems to be made for is the thing it's not necessarily good at.
Yeah.
Which is travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love the Steam, like at home. I played the Steam Deck a whole bunch in my home, just in my bed.
Me too.
Yeah, that's true. Same.
It's nice. You just lay in the bed and play computer games, and like it's good. Like, want to do my Destiny bounties real quick? Can do them anywhere in the house, right? But when I have to take it with me, it's just always just too big. The batteries are always just not good enough. The way it charges is just not fast enough.
Yeah.
Like it always falls just short of where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And it just makes the computer the better option for me. And that's kind of what's bothering me about the Steam Deck, is I think it's such a good first iteration. I hope they do a second one.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if the Steam Deck was 15 to 20% smaller and the battery life was half an hour to an hour longer,
exactly,
it would like completely replace all of my other gaming needs. So like, for example, I'll probably swap out my laptop for an iPad and just use that instead. And not carry the controller anymore, and then like my bag is actually much lighter. But currently, at its current weight, it weighs roughly as much as my laptop. you know, so it's just it's so close to greatness, but it's not there yet. Like it's not at game changer status. But I have to say, like for like a first iteration, what a solid piece of hardware.
Steam Deck 2 on the way.
I mean, like it's inevitable, because it's like, there's hardware specs that need to improve as games keep on improving. So like there will be, better specs of that thing out for sure.
That's true.
All I need is just Destiny for the Switch. And then I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't need more.
I'm genuinely considering to get the Switch Lite. Just for travel, because they also come in like the smaller like sock like case,
but it's just not having Joy-Cons is so bad.
I know, but you can still pair Joy-Cons to it.
Yeah.
Right. So if if other people are there, I could still like connect and
but
play.
Also, how are you gonna do that thing when you're in the airplane and you just put the switch on like the table, but you just kind of hold your arm around your back of your head and then just sit there
Yeah,
like
you can't.
laying
No,
back
you
with
can't.
the Joy-Con?
You can't.
You
do
can't.
that.
Like that is for me the switch is that I can just sit in the worst ways possible with my arms in completely different super chill ways and then just still play.
Ergonomically, what you're doing is probably not correct, but I do the same.
You know what? I've been accused of many things, but being ergonomically responsible is not one of them.
Fawzi, I would very much like you to try a fighting game on the Switch. I want to get your take on if you're able.
On the Switch?
Oh, sorry, I said the Switch. I
On
meant
the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
okay.
The Steam Switch. You know, the Steam Switch.
The Steam Switch.
I would love for you to tell me if you're able to use, because I could use the D-pad for platformers and not for fighting games, and I'm wondering if that's a me thing or if that's a everyone thing.
I'll download Street Fighter and I'll give it a go. I'll let you know next time on the podcast. Yeah, because I'm curious. A portable Street Fighter device is not a bad thing,
right? I mean, like mostly on a plane, you're going to be playing it against the computer, but it's still fun.
That's true. But you know, the thing is with like with fighting games, especially Street Fighter, which is a 6-button game, having a trigger as one of those buttons makes it drops my execution a little bit.
It's true, but the good thing about the Steam Deck is that it has extra buttons that are not triggers on the back that you could actually map, and I feel they work better. They just take more getting used to.
Oh, I might try that actually. Okay, they're like the Pro Controller. You got those extra buttons on the shoulder of the device itself.
Exactly. My take on that is that the execution is easier than the triggers, but I don't have the muscle memory. So I never actually use those buttons. So,
it will require me to use a finger I'm probably not used to using in that way, if you know what I mean. Like our muscle memory is not going to work in that direction.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. It's still an interesting experiment to try out. So I will do that. But I'll tell you what worked. The game I was playing is the one I wanted to talk about. It's called Norco, which is an independent game that is a point-and-click adventure game, pixel art. And on PC, when I'm playing it, I'm not sure if it's out on any other console. I'm playing it on Steam. Usually I use a mouse to move the cursor around. But on the Steam Deck, I can use the touchpad. And that works great.
It really does.
And that works great. And like there's the touchscreen as well. I haven't used that. I don't know if the developers have mapped that to a touch screen. But that is also another input option that it just allows you to play a lot of games that you normally wouldn't have on the go. So like, as I'm playing Norco, I'm going like, oh, I can play Civ on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like I can play some like, strategy games on this thing. I could play some Crusader Kings 3, like these kinds of games.
Yeah.
So those are probably some of the games I will try just because of the, the beauty of the touchpad on a portable device is another thing I've tried in that way before. But
absolutely.
Norco, it's a fascinating game, guys. Like I'm really enjoying it. What I like, so it's a very narrative heavy, as an adventure game would be, and the setting of where the game is, I like it. It's like this fictional, I think, town in Louisiana. It's like and you play this character that just like I'm not spoiling anything. Just like literally the first 2 minutes of the game. Like you were from this small town, and this small town was close to a reactor of some kind that generates electricity, and most of the town works there. And then like you move out of town, to big city life, stuff like that. Then your brother gives you a call and tells you your mom is dead and you need to come back home. She's been battling cancer or whatnot. And as you come back home, you discover that not only was she battling a disease, but she was also investigating the big corporate that is running that reactor factory thing. And and basically as you start to dig deeper into like talking to the people in the town and get to know more about your childhood, the people that your mother's, your fictional mother's life and all of that stuff, the mystery just gets deeper and deeper. And it's cyberpunk as well, because like while everything around the narrative and the world seems very close to our modern reality. There's also, helper robots and androids that are there as well, and like there's some like sci-fi technology that is just embedded really well in the world, to the point that the characters don't outright mention it. It's just part of the world, and you kind of get used to understanding what it is.
That's really cool.
Fascinating game. I love the story. It really sucks you in, and you just for me it was hard to stop playing.
It reminds me a bit of Backbone. Like is it similar or not at all?
It's
I'm just looking at screenshots and watching a video.
Like the art, it's indie point and click pixel art game, so that they have that in common.
And nothing else from what
so like for example, you never see the protagonist. The protagonist is you, so you're kind of immersed into that personality.
I see. Okay.
There's a bit more investigation stuff going on, and there's some puzzles require some. There's like a tiny mini game kind of like that appear that you traverse, and it tells you an additional story as you're playing it. So also some of those puzzles I found interesting.
Yeah, I think Norco plays a bit more with with its own form in a way that I found more interesting. I ultimately bounced off of it for the same reason I bounced off of a lot of these games, is that I keep getting sad playing them, wishing that they could be set elsewhere, and just knowing that the risk of making a game that is this genuine and sincere to its place would be borderline impossible anywhere else. So I just always get very sad playing these games, and I know it's just me, but it is what it is. But it honestly, I found Norco, for what I played of it, I found it very, very impressive.
Yeah, I think Rami, that I guess the developers are maybe borrowing a lot from what they know, the area where they are. I don't know the developers myself, but it seems to me like
of course, it's
very genuine and close. That they sincere, have to be connected to that part of the United States.
For sure, and that's the thing. Like I know this is not the developer's fault, right? But I know that if there's a kid in Cairo trying to make this game about Cairo, it's never going to get funded. It's never going to get the reviews. It's not, because it's just there's so much shortcuts, storytelling shortcuts that are being used, right? Like what $1 is worth, what an interstate is, what a U.S. city or like U.S. more rural area. It's like so many things are just kind of defined through all the media that we consume. That if you say like this is a place just outside Da'iri in Cairo, like nobody knows what that means. They don't know what a Guinea is. They don't know what life is like. They don't know what like normal looks like. What
you need to make that relatable somehow.
Right, and that it's so much work, and it's so like it will be handholdy and preachy, and like it won't feel as genuine because you have to do all the work of translating it first.
That's true,
and it just makes me sad. It's not something the developers did. I think that, like I said, I think Norco is super impressive, and it's beautifully made, and it plays with its own form, which I'm just a huge fan of. I just get so sad, and I got the same thing with Night in the Wood. I got the same thing with Kentucky Route Zero. It's just like these sort of like we've gone to the point where making a game about a small town minority experience in the US is easier to do than to make a game set in Africa.
Yeah.
Like the continent of Africa.
Like anywhere on the continent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just all power to these developers, and I'm sure that they're also in a way a minority, like getting to represent their own places instead of New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco or whatever. That alone is an incredible feat of power in a media where you get pulled towards these larger cities, these big American stories, and telling something that is a little smaller, a little weirder, a little more personal is incredibly powerful. So all power to them.
Yeah.
And all my support for games like this, I get sad. I just get sad.
But and I feel like it's going to be a nice segue into the other thing I wanted to talk about. There is a way in which you can talk about there is an entryway before we start to tell the stories about the culture itself, by talking about by telling stories or games or shows about a character that is from the foreign culture, inside those small towns or big towns, or like within the, and kind of like,
I know where you're going,
and it kind of makes it relatable in that way. And Mo, the show that I watched on Netflix, is exactly that.
Love it. I love that segue. That was
it's a long segue, but we got there eventually.
We got there.
But you're right. It's still sad that it has to be that way.
True.
But still, that is really well done.
Yeah, it is to make up for like we lack a Hollywood, or like talking about Arab culture in this section. We don't have like the exposure that Hollywood does.
Right, because we do have Hollywood. We have an incredible movie scene.
Yes, but it hasn't been exported globally in the same way. In the same way as, like, Bollywood is huge. It's probably bigger than Hollywood in some instances.
It's definitely bigger. They release more movies. So.
Yeah. But like the way it's marketed towards the world is on its way there. Definitely much better than what we're doing in Arab culture. The Japanese and the Koreans are doing it as well, in which, like, they are providing a lot of interesting ways to export their culture in the way in their anime or their Korean music, for example.
The Korean push happened recently too.
And it's very impressive. Even like Korean movies are like making their way to like global movie theaters and like Netflix and all of that stuff. We as Arab culture
to the American distribution method.
Yes. Yeah, we in Arab culture, we are getting there, I guess.
Right.
And what I liked about Mo a lot is it's that like it is. And they make the joke tongue in cheek, and the entirety of the show is that this is like a dude that is telling the Palestinian story to some extent through a very American show. So like if you live in America, there's a lot for you that you can relate with this show, and if you're a Palestinian, there's a lot for you that you can relate in that show as well.
Good.
Right.
Those kind of stories are really important, like you said. I mean, I wish we could have the other kind as well, but these are
right.
At least we have this, right?
I think the thing I liked about Mo is that it holds no punches.
Oh yeah, in any way,
in any way whatsoever. This show is like, it is brutally honest about some of the stuff, and some you start realizing that a lot of the circumstances that Muslims and Arabs have in Western culture, when you watch them on TV, they're just kind of absurd.
Yeah.
You watch and you're like, that's really our life? And you laugh about it because you're like, oh, hey, I recognize that. And then kind of in the back of your head, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But they're not holding back on that. They're very genuine on like what it means to be an immigrant / illegal immigrant / somebody who's been there for like, what, at the start of the show, it's like 20 something years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 20 years.
I'll still be scared that you are not from there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like like that moment when he it's not a spoiler, but like so that the canines have passports and he doesn't have a passport,
right?
And that was like a moment of realization for him. It's like a powerful moment right there. Like that show is hilarious, but also gets real in interesting way. And I think like it celebrates the culture, but also criticizes it sometimes. And I like that duality that it did there. Like that he's very close to his mom, takes care of his mom, but his mom is also kind of controlling his life sometimes. And that's like an interesting duality that doing a study of the culture in a way that was almost always either ignorant of it or trying to glorify it too much to make up for the fact that a lot of people are ignorant about it. And there's a part that was a bit real about the show that I liked.
Which part?
Yeah, which part?
That it's like I said, the part that they are criticizing the culture as well as presenting it.
I see. I thought you were going to talk out. I thought you were going to mention a specific.
I wanted to, but I was like I don't want to spoil it too much.
Okay. I will say one of my favorite things about Mo has just been reading the white people reviews.
Oh, what are they saying?
And then just like 100% missing the point on like 90% of that show.
Okay.
What are they saying?
Like the Arab culture is so far away from what people understand it to be that I think a lot of the like more interesting beats kind of get lost. Like, there's one joke about the branding issue.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just sort of like setting that as like, oh yeah, so like the misunderstanding here is not malicious or dangerous. It's just sort of like something he got used to, and it's just kind of okay. And I'm like, no, the point of that is that it hurts
every time.
Mm-hmm. It hurts every time, but we've learned to cope with it.
Yeah.
By joking about it, moving it a bit out of the painful zone. Mm-hmm. And just seeing people miss the point on that stuff has been phenomenal. It just reminds me of how big the gap is and how important a show like Mo actually is.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it is so important.
Because, if you haven't mentioned that, I wouldn't even have thought about it. Because, as he said that joke, I immediately related to it, laughed, and, like that sad laugh kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that one, right? Where you're like, oh, God.
Oh, God, yeah. There's a bunch of those in that show, for sure.
I didn't realize that the actor is Mohammed Amr. Like,
he's a stand-up comedian.
He was, I used to watch like this stand-up comedy called Allah Made Me Funny back in like 15 years ago, and he was Mo Amr on it. I've seen him
live in Berlin. He opened up for another stand-up comic, and I was like, this guy's hysterical. Where did he come from? That was the first time I ever heard of him.
He was really funny. And like, I thought Allah Made Me Funny itself was amazing and so important to me because I was in my 20s when I heard about it. And back then there was nothing. There was like nothing at all. So for it to exist was a very, very big deal. And I haven't thought about it in so long. So this is, wow, it's all connected. He looks older. That's all. He looks a little bit older, which makes sense.
Well, if you want it even better, it's created by Mo and Rami Youssef.
Wow.
And you might know Rami. You might know Rami for playing Rami Hassan in the series Rami. So we have Rami Youssef, who made Rami, working together with somebody who's on that show, which is Mo Amr, who made a show called Mo.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
So I don't know if this is saying something about Arab culture, but we sure like naming things after ourselves. Can't wait for Fawzi's next game to be called Fawzi.
Yeah, I don't think I'll call my next game Osama.
See, this is that, when he put his name everywhere.
That's the sad laugh.
That was a sad laugh. Osama's like, I'm not going to call my name Osama. And I'm like, oh, God.
Yep. Very sad laugh.
Yeah.
But the laugh is sincere anyway, even though it's
yeah.
I thought it was genuinely funny.
Have you all? No, I don't think we have that much time left.
No, we don't. We have to wrap up soon.
Have you watched She-Hulk?
Yes, and I love it.
Still good?
Yes.
Yep, still good. All right, good.
So, really quickly, remember the thing I called out on the first episode about breaking the fourth wall? Wasn't it amazing? Yep. Like I was anyway. Yep. Not to say more, but I was so happy at that nod. I really love the tone of the show.
Very light,
very very when I need it. It's very different than the rest of Marvel shows, so it's going to be polarizing. It's not going to be for everyone, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Right.
But she's
snappy too.
Yes, and she's one of my favorite characters from the Marvel comic books, like for a lot of reasons. So I was super happy to see her portrayed. She's also one of my favorite characters from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So she plays very differently than other characters. So I'm happy. Like this show is for me as well as many other of the MCU things are, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Let's see. I got new headphones. They're the Sennheiser Momentum Force. They're bad.
No, yeah,
which is very disappointing. They were sort of like described as like the Sony's 1000 XM5 have long been sort of like the undisputed winners. And people kept saying that these are the good ones, and I just tried them for a few days, and they're just their sound is very soulless. It's technically good, you can tell, but it's just wasn't for me. So I'm switching to a set of more expensive ones, and I'm gonna try those out. And I can report back, but those headphones are incredibly expensive, though I don't think that a review is useful. But I'll mention whether I like them.
Yeah, that's cool. I wanted to talk about a couple of movies, but we definitely don't have time now. So
okay,
let's
rapid fire.
Yes, no rapid fire. We'll keep them for. We'll keep them
as
for
if we'll have time to talk about these.
We will. We're all gonna come up next week. So
inshallah.
inshallah.
And if not Bokra, then the Bokra.
Then the Bokra after Bokra, inshallah.
Exactly.
Malesh? All right, let's go. So thank you all for coming. You didn't come. Thank you for listening. We're the ones who came.
He's going. He's off.
Here we go.
Where's my script?
I also like that we literally hit every topic that we agreed upon we talk about beforehand, that Osama just like cut it right before I got to Destiny 2. And so I was like, well, we had everything except for Destiny 2. Anyway,
we don't have another 45 minutes.
Bye-bye.
So
shukran for listening.
Send us emails because we're going to read them online eventually, I promise. And that's it for this week. Agent Smith, don't be mad. We were only joking around. Salam, and see you next week.
Salam.
Well, hopefully we'll see Osama next week with all the stuff he said on this episode. Inshallah. Salam.
That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I'm Osama Dorias, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Osama Dorias. My fellow Habibis were Rami Ismail, you can find on Twitter at @THA_Rami, and Fawzi Mesmar, who you can find on Twitter at Fawzi Mesmar. Send us your questions, stories, suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. Intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubayla, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting service, or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening, and Assalamu alaikum.